Hey guys, today's topic of the video is going to be about a very famous, interesting, and my favorite writer of Victorian era, who is Thomas Hardy. But before starting, I will suggest you to subscribe to my channel so that you can get all my literature related videos. Also follow me on Instagram so that you can get all the literary updates from there. In this video, we will be covering different topics, diverse topics such as introduction, the early life and later life of Thomas Hardy, his literary works and his best novels. But so let's start right from the introduction. He was a very famous novelist and poet. He is famous for his novels and his fictionalized country of Wessex in his works. So Wessex is actually a fictionalized country which Thomas Hardy always used in his works. In his famous novel Jude the Obscure, he has set the entire novel, entire story in Wessex and surroundings of Wessex. So he was also awarded by order of merit. It is a high rank award which is given to great poets, novelists, and etc. Thomas Hardy prioritized his poetry above all, but he is reputed for his novels. Thomas Hardy has done amazing job writing poets, but he is reputed with his novels. One interesting fact about Thomas Hardy is that he is buried without his heart. His heart is in grave of her wife. So moving towards the early life and literary life. On 4th June 1840, he was born at High Bockhampton, Dorset. He was the eldest child of his parents. His parents' name was Thomas Hardy, was his father's name, and Jemima Hand was her mother name. His mother name. His father was a stonemason and a builder. They belonged to a very poor family. So Thomas Hardy depicts all the novels, depicts the working class in his novels also. His mother had a love for reading books, and this habit passed on to his son Thomas Hardy. He lived his early life in a rural area and had a keen interest in examining it. From 1848 to 1856, he was schooled at Dorset in his hometown. In 1856, he witnessed the execution of Martha Browne, who murdered her husband. After his school from 1856 to 1860, he was sent to a local architect, John Hicks. Later in 1850s, he had a very important friend in his life, Horace Mule, and he became Thomas Hardy's intellectual mentor throughout his life. Hardy started self-education under the influence of his friend Horace. In 1862, he was employed at a draughtsman by a London architect Arthur Bloomfield. In 1865, when he returned to Dorset as a jobbing architect, he started writing for Hicks on a church. In 1868, he completed his first novel, but it was rejected for publication. Because he was poor, so publishing houses didn't bother themselves publishing his books. In 1869, he again worked on a church with an architect, Weymouth Crickmay. In Weymouth Crickmay. Crickmay was actually the name of the architect. In 1870, he met with his wife Emma Lavinia Gifford on a professional visit to St. Juliet in North Cornwall. In 1873, his friend Horace Mule committed suicide. In 1874, he married Emma and started living in London, but they had no kids. In 1875, Hardy returned to Dorset, to his hometown. In 1878, he moved back to London again. In 1880, Hardy was ill for many months. In 1881, he again returned to Dorset, which was his hometown. In 1891, after his publication of TESS of the D'Urbervilles, he became famous as a novelist and caused a scandal because of its advanced view on sexual conduct. I have also made video on TESS of the D'Urbervilles, such an amazing novel by Thomas Hardy. Link will be given in the description below. In 1892, Thomas Hardy's father died. In 1892, his estrangement from his wife Emma started growing. In 1839, he met Florence Henniker, who was one of several society women with whom he had intense friendships and also collaborated with her. In 1898, Hardy and Emma continued to live at Maxgate but were now estranged and kept separate. In 1904, his mother died. His mother was the single most important influence in his life. We have studied earlier that his mother was an avid book reader, and that habit is passed to Thomas Hardy. In 1905, he met his wife Florence Emily Dugdale. Sorry, I'm not good in pronunciations. In 1910, he was awarded the Order of Merit. Emma died still estranged, and this triggered the writing of Thomas Hardy's finest love lyric about his early time in Cornwall. February 10, 1914 was the day he married Florence Dugdale. In 1915, his sister Mary died. He was infatuated with a woman, Gertrude Bugler. Now moving towards the death of Thomas Hardy. In 1928, on 11th of June, he died. His heart was buried in Emma's grave at Stinsford. His ashes were in Westminster Abbey. In 1928, his brother Henry also died. Hardy's autobiography was published under the name of his second wife. His second wife died in 1937, and Hardy's last sibling, Kate, died in 1940. Moving towards the literary works which Thomas Hardy wrote in his life, or after his published after his life under his wife's name, Emily. In 1868, he completed his first novel, The Poor Man and the Lady, but it was rejected by publications. In 1871, his Desperate Remedies was published by Tinsley Brothers. In 1872, Tinsley Brothers published his other novel, Under the Greenwood Tree. In 1873, his novel, A Pair of Blue Eyes, got published. In 1874, Far from the Madding Crowd got published. In 1876, The Hand of Ethel Berta was published. In 1878, his beautiful novel, The Return of the Native, was published. It's such a beautiful novel. In 1878, his first unpublished novel, An Indiscretion in the Life of an Heiress, was published in a weekly magazine. In 1880, he published his novel, The Trumpet Measure. In 1881, his novel, A Laodicean, was published. In 1882, his work, Two on a Tower, was published. In 1886, The Mayor of Casterbridge was published. In 1886, The Woodlanders was published. In 1888, his Wessex Tales was published. In 1891, his other tales collection, A Group of Noble Dames, was published. In 1891, he published his best novel, TESS of the Dubervilles. In 1892, he serialized the serialized version of the well-beloved entitled The Pursuits of Being in Illustrated London News. Well-being was illustrated in London News. In 1894, his collaboration with Florence Henniker produced a work, The Spectre of the Real, was published. In 1895, his Jude the Obscure, such an amazing novel, my favorite novel, and a savage attack on a marriage which was on relation with Emma, was published. It received both eulogistic and vitriolic reviews. In 1898, he published Wessex Poems and Other Verses on was published. From 1904 to 1908, he published 3 parts of the Dynast. In 1914, he wrote the prologue and epilogue to the Dynasts. He also wrote Satires of Circumstances. In 1923, he published his drama, The Famous Tragedy of the Queen of Cornwall. In 1924, his novel TESS was performed on stage. So, such a lengthy, such a great works by Thomas Hardy. Such a great writer he is. He is my favorite writer. His gloomy style, his pathetic way of defining the protagonist, what should I define? His tragic protagonist. Whether it is a girl or boy, doesn't matter, but the way he writes the novel is just heart catching. So give a read to his novels. He read such an amazing novels. Thomas Hardy, Jude the Obscure, TESS of the Dubervilles, and The Mayor of Casterbridge are his best novels. So thanks for watching. I hope you like or dislike this video. Also comment on the comment box for further inquiry, and also subscribe to the channel, and also follow on Instagram so that you can get all the literary updates from there. Thank you.